So I'll share my screen and we'll go over what the app's supposed to look like first, and then we'll start like actually implementing it. So the color psychology is here, like the one here. Basically, all this is doing is mapping like the color with the actual text. The color in the text, like the color is a representation of what the text is saying. That's basically all this is saying. And the purpose of like me giving this activity is to learn how to loop over objects and how to manipulate objects. Not only how to loop over objects, but to also add things to the HTML from the data that's inside of the object. So I'm going to open up the dev tools first. I'm going to show you what we're supposed to do. And then I'm going to start going through the steps to complete the color psychology app. All right, so I'm inspecting the actual button here, or this actual square right here. And I can see that there's a few different things going on. If I look at this excitement one, we can see that it has a class of BTN. That's the first thing I noticed. And the second thing I noticed is that it has another class of CP red. CP is supposed to stand for color psychology. So anything with CP red looks to be the color red, right? And we can even go down here inside of the actual CSS and we can see that it has a background color of like this red color here, right? So if I go to the orange one where it says confidence, this one has CP orange for the for its class because it's currently orange. And it also has a class of BTN. That class of BTN, the only thing that does is it gives it a margin. See, we have .btn, this is the class. It gives us a margin of 2 pixels. And it's weird because like when I hover over this, you can literally see all of the buttons like in the HTML, but they're just like not all in the current view. But yeah, it basically tells you that all of them has this class of BTN. That's why all of those are highlighted. And if I hover over this CP orange, the only ones that's highlighted is the actual orange colored squares. So what I'm going to do is go into here and copy this template. We know that we have some text here and we have a class. The only class that's different is the CP red, but the class all of these get is the BTN class. So I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste this in the actual code so that we can have like a template of what we're supposed to create in the HTML. This is the code for the unfinished version. The code for this goes inside of color psychology. And if anyone has any questions, please stop me and ask because I want everyone to follow along. So I'm literally just going to paste that here and just comment it out. Right. Let me zoom in a little bit. So this is the template that we have to follow. The other thing that I want people to notice is that all of these divs here, all of these button divs are inside of this color psychology div. So something with an ID of color psychology. So already we can see that we're like, what we'll have to do is target this div and start placing divs within it. That's the goal, basically. Now I copy that and I'm going to paste that here. I know it's an ID. So that's how I'm going to do that. Save it. Now I'm going to open up. This is the unfinished version. We can see that there's literally nothing inside of here. I'll open up the dev tools for this one and inspect this section. We can see that we have that color psychology div, but right now it's currently empty. There's nothing inside of it. So like I was saying, we literally have to add all of the divs inside of this, this HTML element using JavaScript. we have like a helper file to sort of give us all of that text and all of the colors associated with it. And that is inside of color.js. Color.js has this object, right? This is our object, color map. We have the actual text that's inside of the button. You can see excitement is here, right? And we have its associated class, CP red. So these are all red, these first four. We have these orange ones here, yellow, green, so on and so forth. So we know that this object has everything that we need to make each of those divs, right? Because this is how it's supposed to look here. Let me put this back so we can see it in color, because this is how it's supposed to look. The only difference is that we got to add this BTN class to each of them. All right. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to create a function, right? I'm just going to say this function is going to be called populate colors. Okay, I'm not even sure what it's called, what I called it in the actual course, but here I'm just going to call it populate colors. And then I'm going to call this function. The reason I'm going to call this function is because I want everything inside of this to run, right? And inside of this function, I'm going to just do a console log really quick. And I'm a console log color map. The reason I'm console logging color map is because I want to make sure we have access to color map inside of color psychology, even though they're different files. I'm gonna save this, go back here, go to the console and refresh. And I can see that color map logs here. So that means that we have access to that object, right? So now that we have access to this object, now we have to use the keys and the values of the object in order to populate the HTML. So we know that we have to loop through this object. And the way we loop through object, if you all recall, we use a for in. Yeah. So we do let key in color map. Now I'm just going to do a quick console log quick of what key is. Let's do key. And I'm also going to do a little trick here. I'm just going to put a line in between each of these keys. So I'm just console log this every time, like right before we print out each key.
So why are you using a let key instead of const key?
I could use const. Actually. That's probably more appropriate, to be honest. For some reason, I always see it as let, but we can definitely use const because we're not changing this variable. So this key variable. Yeah, good point. So I'm gonna refresh this and we get all of the keys. So inside of this object, we can see that the keys are here, like it says excitement, strength. This isn't alphabetical. It looked like it rearranged it. Excitement here, and then
Hey Isaiah,
yeah.
one question. Is it like that for all loops? Because I've only seen let in like the loops. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can use it for all loops. Yeah, you can use it
Okay.
loops. Yeah, it's honestly just one of those things that I just never thought about until it was just mentioned. I always see it as let for some reason.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I've always seen it as let. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I just never questioned it until like, but it makes sense. We can use const. So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's printing out all of the keys here, right? And remember, with objects, we're able to get the values from the keys. For example, if I was to do color map dot whatever, it shows all of the keys here. Dot excitement. Color map dot excitement is literally going to give us this is going to give us CP red. That's what's going to print out this here. So let me put this in a comment just so that we can see it. But the problem is that we can't use this dot notation here. The reason we can't use this dot notation is because all of these keys that was printed out here are strings. Like literally all of these things are strings here. So since we can't use the dot notation, we have to use the bracket notation. And remember, with bracket notation, this is how you use it. Use bracket. Let me put this back in so you can see it in color. Color, bracket, excitement. This equals this here. CP red. These two lines are the exact same thing, just written a little bit different. That's all. So this is how we're gonna use it, the second version of it. So I'm gonna just do a console log of color map, use the bracket, and then put the key inside of it, just so that we can see the key printout and we can see the value printout right under it.
I have another question before we switch off right quick.
Mm-hmm.
So in a for loop, like the text and color map, what would that do? Or how would that change things?
Same. That's a good question. It's just a variable. We can put that text, we can say I, we just got to reference it the right way. It's just a variable name. Name it whatever you want.
So the variable doesn't matter.
Yeah, the variable name doesn't matter, right? Exactly. Yeah, I just put key because it's literally the key inside of the object, because objects are key value pairs. The key being this and the value being this here. So, but you can name whatever you want. We can do text. Actually, text actually sounds good. Sounds more readable. We can do it that way.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back here and refresh. And now we can see all of the keys and the values right under them. We have the key here and the value here. And if we compare this, I'm just gonna copy this real quick. This is what we had, right? We had this. We have energy and we have CP red. If we compare that to the div that we have to create, we can see that we have the text that's inside of it, which is a good name for it. We actually have the text here, which is energy, and we have the associated class, CP red here. So now that we have those, we can start creating this div. We can start building this up and putting this inside of the HTML. But first, let's build up this HTML element, right? So remember how we create HTML elements? We can do document dot create element. This is how we create an HTML element. An element that we want to create is a div. So I'm just going to write div inside of there. They're just creating a div. So this is a div. It's not on the screen or anything like that. It's literally stored inside of this variable. This div is stored in here. So since we have a div, this div is now an object, and we can start manipulating it. We can start adding classes to it. We can start adding text to it. We can start doing whatever we want to it. To add text to an HTML element, remember we do this inner text. So I'm gonna do div.inner text, and I'm gonna set that equal to the actual text here, because we know that this one is the text, right? And to manipulate the classes, remember we use class list. So we can do div.classlist.add. The class that we want to add is this here, color map text. And we also want to add another class. We want to add this class here, btn. So I'm just going to do this. I'm just do this again. Div.classlist.add. I'm gonna just put the text btn, because that's the next class that we have to add. So what we've done so far is we've created a div by using this create element. we set the inner text to the text that's supposed to be inside of it. And then we set each of the classes, its associated like color class here and the BTN class that all of them have to have either way. So from here, I'm just going to do a console log really quick, just so that we can see that we actually built this up. We didn't actually add this to the screen yet, but I'm just going to console log it to make sure it looks good first. And I'm going to delete these console logs here. Actually, I'll leave those ones there too. All right, so I'm gonna go back here and refresh. Okay, so we have a bunch of divs, and I can just see from like this last one here that it has the text of honest, and we have honest here, and we have this CP white class, and we also have the BTN class. So this div structure is exactly what we want to go for. And we can see that it's the same, like we have that for all of these because we're looping over this and adding all those associated things to the HTML element, right? So literally the next thing we have to do is add those to this here. And remember the parent that we have to add all of these divs to is color psychology, something with an ID of color psychology. So what we can do, and I think this is probably, yeah, so what we can do first is, I feel like this might be an improvement on how I did it in the course. But first we can target this color psychology div. We have to target it first before we can do anything to it, before we can interact with it. So document.get element by ID, and we're going to target it by ID name. Let me close this. Right. So now that we have this, now we're able to interact with it. So I'm gonna interact with it inside of this loop because we know that we have to add this div to it. I'm gonna just do append child because that's how we add an HTML element to it. Append is basically just adding the HTML element like after all of the children. So if this already had a child inside of it, it's going to add the next child after that one, and then just keep adding one to the end of all of the children. So I'm going to add a div as the child, and I'm gonna go back and refresh to see if this all worked. And we can see that we now have all of the actual squares here. I want to do one more thing. I want to actually put a debugger in here. I'm hoping we can see this like play out. You know what I mean? Like actually see all of them populate one by one. Sometimes it lets you do that, but sometimes it don't. Oh, actually,
Question.
Yeah, go ahead. Mhm.
If I wanted to add multiple classes at the same time, do I have to keep breaking it out like that, or can I add classes at the same time? And one just div classless add.
Yeah. Good question, and I'm not completely sure. Let me see something.
Like, could I use a comma? You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
That's what I was
So
thinking.
like BTN, comma, classless, and then keep going until it's done.
Right. I'm not sure if it works that way. It might. It would make sense to put a comma, and that's what I was thinking. But I'm gonna go to the actual documentation to see. I could just test it out, honestly. It looks like they're just adding just one. Actually, yeah, we can do commas. They're doing it here. Add or remove multiple classes that add and everything with commas. So that'll be an improvement actually on this. So that means
to like it in the video, so yeah, it'll work.
okay. Is that how I did it with the commas you're saying?
Yeah, you
Okay.
yeah, div dot class list dot add BTN, then you did CP red, and yeah, like you kept going.
Okay. All right,
For
that
each
makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, obviously didn't remember that. But yeah, like a lot of stuff I just be looking up and I just know for the moment. But yeah, let me so we're here, right? And let me actually bring up, this is the color psychology div right here. We used to literally go through, let me see if it adds real time. It may. We have the div, we added the text, we added the actual classes, and now we're going to add this to the color psychology, and we should see it in HTML. And we do see it here, and they're literally just going to add one by one. You're just going to keep adding them over and over again. So I'm not going to go through, I'm not going to loop through all of this, but yeah, I'm just hit play and just, everything should be in there. You see it all in the HTML. Was there any questions on this? I'm just going to delete the stuff that we don't need. We don't need this or this. Or this. So literally that whole thing was just, we just used one function. That's all we needed. So, and I'll put this finished copy. I'll put this inside of the chat if anybody want to reference it. So. All right, so for this class, right, if there's no questions here, what we're going to do is just like we did last time, we'll have someone share their screen. Not Jay this time because he did it last time. And we're going to build this password generator as a class. For those who already went through it, it's going to be helpful to just get that input from them because they already pretty much built it. But we'll have someone else share their screen and we'll start. Same rules as last time, you can ask me 5 questions. And if we start getting to closer to the end of class, I'll just hurry up and speed through it. So is there a volunteer to share their screen?
I don't volunteer.
I was waiting for a volunteer. Anybody, I mean, don't be afraid to share your screen. You're gonna have your classmates to help you out. And honestly, this is like a process. This is like, this helps you like code in real time. Also, it really does make a difference with sharing your screen. Helps with practice. I will pick a random person. Okay. I'll pick. Okay. All right. Cool. I see in the chat. Who in the chat? Who feels as though they're just not prepared to share their screen? No possible way. You can just throw your name in the chat. Okay. All right. So all right, so that's everybody. So Special, do you mind sharing your screen? I'm just picking you because you didn't put anything in there. So yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. My daughter just came in to ask me a question.
It's all-
Okay, I gotta pull it from scratch. Hold on one second.
yeah, and I'll share my screen so you can see where to go. So we go to the course. Yeah, here, password generator. So everybody can do this like while we wait. Go to password generator and then go to lecture 105 and then download the starter code because this is
Oh
everything.
yeah, I downloaded both of those already.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to find it because when I opened it and like when I opened it from the web, like from online after I downloaded it, they
Mhm.
both look exactly the same.
Yeah, they're I should have named them different
So
names.
I'm not sure which one to go to. That's what I'm trying to do now.
So in a let me see in the starter code, let me X some of the stuff out. I think it's this one.
So you want me to just trash both of them and re-download the first one so I get it right?
You don't have to do that. You can just use one of them. It don't matter which one you use. Basically, if you open up the JavaScript file and go to passwordgenerator.js, if it has code in there, just delete it. If not, then that's the one you want to use. We just want to start off with this file as a fresh file.
Clean.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Oh man, I'm having a hard time finding it. I need to start like once we done that section, deleted the project out my desktop so I don't have a whole bunch of stuff in here.
Yeah. I might actually go back through it myself and like rename all of those downloads. Because if you have that issue, like I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other people that's having the exact same one. I'm gonna go back through and rename all of them.
Um,
I'm gonna write them down.
and I could have named these projects better myself because I have like project one, time project, stuff like that. So it's like not really clear. Arrow function project. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying. I got a lot going on.
You cool, no worry.
Yeah. While she get that set up, there was a few things I wanted to go over quickly. Um, now that I'm remembering. Here. I'm gonna share my screen quickly. All right. So I added a few more things to the resume, right? And I wanted to just quickly talk about some of these things. On your resume, right? We went over we went over the top like few things, but what's also really good to have is like, and I just want to reiterate like some project or like some leadership experience, right? The first thing I just want you to just sort of look at is the program that Talib is actually hosting, STEM for Us. That like if you was to decide to be like a coach for that program, it's going to look really good on your resume because you're like leading at that point. You're leading like a coding sort of like hackathon in a sense. It looks really good. Another another thing to put there is if you was to like create YouTube videos or something like that, like, and if you was to just do it on your own, I would just like maybe even like document your journey with like learning coding, maybe like it's kind of like vlog or something like that. Hey, I'm taking this coding class, and then like sort of show your progress as you go along with the class. That's something that people like in general just enjoy watching. Plus, it shows that like you're able to like really go in and like try to learn the stuff. Um, Another thing from there is to contribute to open source. And what I mean by contributing to open source is basically like, you know how you go and you look up a coding problem. Like if I do JavaScript arrays, right? And something shows up here. The very first thing that shows up is this grepper, the grepper plugin. If you was to add your implementation to this, it looks really good because it's contributing to like things that's open to the public. Or if you go to what is it called? I forgot the website name. Stack Overflow. Or like if you go to Stack Overflow and you see some of the problems people ask, like if you was to create an account, you can see a whole bunch of problems people are asking, and you can put your answer in here. You can describe how to do it. Like maybe you ran into that issue at one point, like stuff like that looks really good because it means that you're contributing to the community, to the coding community. Another thing is to join the hackathon, like we were talking about last week. So join the hackathon, have a group, you know, you have a story to tell, like your struggles and like working with new people, like that type of experience is not something you just get like randomly. And honestly, like joining a hackathon could also mean like making your own hackathon. maybe going through like as a class, pick a project inside of the course, or make your own project up and just try to do it in 24 hours. Like maybe be on Zoom for a whole 24 hours if you got time to do all of that. But like, yeah, it still looks pretty good. And next thing I want to highlight is if you wanted to help me actually on Udemy, there's people that's like, there's almost 200 people that signed up for this course first. And there's people that's asking me questions, like questions that y'all should already know. They're like, how do you run a function? Like what was this function ever called? Like stuff that y'all already did. Like y'all are ahead of like most of the people that joined the course. So a lot of the questions that come in are stuff that y'all already have seen before. So what I was going to do was in the Q&A chat on Instagram. Anytime someone asks me a question, I'm gonna put it in the Q&A chat. And like if one of y'all want to answer it, I can literally just copy and paste y'all answer over to Udemy, and that's helping me with the class. And whenever you put me down as a reference, I can say, hey, this person actually helped me with, you know, managing my Udemy course because they were answering questions from the students. And it also helps you get a better understanding of what you already understand by teaching it. So I wrote all of those things down here, you know, go through that list, you know, maybe choose one or two of these things if you have the extra like bandwidth, and just try to get those things on your resume also. So, yeah.
I have a question for Talib, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Talib, would a stimulus program be virtual, or will I have to go wherever the program is being held in order to be a coach?
Well, I think that Isaiah can answer that question as well.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be virtual. It's going to be virtual. It starts. What was the date on top? Was it April?
Starts on April the 23rd through May the 21st, and so we're looking essentially for coaches to be available during a 3-hour program that would take place on the Saturday. and there's about 30 minutes during the program where the young people are going to actually be, so for the majority of the program, they're going to be hearing people like Isaiah give them a training on an area of like coding, for example, right? And then after that training, the young people are going to be broken up into groups, and then their coaches will be leading the groups to kind of dissect what the trainer gave them for that particular week, and then implement that information they've gained into their group project. And the group project is to design a kind of an app that will protect against cyber intrusions, either from their email, or if they have drones, to protect against cyber intruders from sending false messages or false instructions to drones. So if you can imagine a drone, for example, if it gets a message to dive as opposed to climb, it could dive into a car and cause the car to have an accident. That's just one example. And so young people are going to be developing these. They're going to be learning how to develop the cyber. So you don't have to know necessarily yourself even the platforms that they're going to be using, but the platforms they are going to be using are really very simple. For example, there's this one platform you probably have heard of. Have you ever heard of Scratch?
I have not heard of Scratch, actually.
Okay, so Scratch is just like a platform that a lot of schools use to teach, elementary students how to code. It's like a drag and drop. So you have where you are at this class, Scratch would be like child's play for you, but it's essentially that's one of the platforms that we're going to be teaching. Isaiah has another platform. What's the platform that you're going to be teaching, Isaiah?
It's called it's a website builder, Zyro.com. It's basically just like Wix. Very simple, like website builder, and like the purpose of it is literally just to get the students like able to build website to like maybe say information about what they're doing in their individual projects. But yeah, I'm trying to pull up that Scratch. I'm just gonna pull up this screenshot here. Like I'm pretty sure some of you already seen some of this. Like you literally drop in commands, and like this image will do the commands that you drop in. You can see that.
So it's like the Lego. It's like the Lego coder.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, and there is it's the exact same. The funny thing is, it's really the exact same concepts as coding. It's just like a fun way to do it. So yeah.
That's real sick in a cool way.
Hey Isaiah, when I
I bet.
opened up the zip, I'm getting just like the text of the document. I'm not getting like, here, let me share my screen real quick.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing.
Right here, I'm just getting like the text of it.
Okay.
This is a zip that I downloaded right here.
Okay.
Mine did that too, but if you remember when we were studying doing the time app, you can go back into that one and just go into the password generator JavaScript file from that one.
The reason is
Right
like
here?
that is probably because I think did you unzip it? Did you take it out of the zip folder? Like you're supposed to like extra.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Let me see something.
Yeah, the reason I know is because it says .zip in the path. If I look at that browser path.
Wait, this is where I downloaded right here. So I should drag this to the JavaScript one.
Yeah. So if you double click the one that you just downloaded to go inside of it, there should be another folder inside of that. Like, yeah. So if you drag dashboard to your desktop and then open it up from there, or drag it anywhere else, like outside of the
Oh, wait. Oh, wait.
yeah. So it's already something with the same name. Maybe you can rename it or something and then drag it over there. You can X that out. And just rename it.
Wait, say it again. Exit this out.
Rename the dashboard folder. I think you gotta click it like twice or something like that. You click it once. Oh, that's how I do it. That's how I do it on my.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you right click
So
it. But it's
wait,
still,
go back and right click my dashboard folder. Right click that.
yeah. I forgot exactly how you rename it on.
I
the-
know, right?
Oh,
Wow.
to rename it, just go back, click it once. While it's highlighted, click it again. And
Click it
click it
again.
one more time. Like, so when you, it's not a double click, but you click it once, and when you click it again on the actual name dashboard, it should open up to the point where you can rename it. Well, no, not double click, but
Yeah,
literally
I
click
clicked it once,
2
but
times.
nothing.
Was
I clicked it once.
the window is larger than a double click, but smaller than just waiting forever. And that should be the way to rename it. On top of that, I believe if you click those, highlighted and click those 3 buttons in the upper right corner next to extract all, which you may not be able to rename it because it's in a zip folder. Is it still in the zip folder?
Yeah, it is. So I know
Unzip it.
Ooh.
if you know how to, yeah, if you can unzip it, that would be perfect.
All right, let me
Remove the
get out
zipper
here.
off of it.
Unzip this. I don't know how
Extract
to
all.
unzip it.
That's all, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and press extract.
Oh.
Now we're waiting. There you go. You should be able to rename it now. And then click.
Oh, there we
There you
go.
go.
All right.
Woohoo.
And I should name this.
I'm wondering, I mean, since
um,
you extracted it, I'm wondering if you can just use it now instead of dragging it over. But you can.
let me get the password. Sure, yeah. Okay.
Now you can drag and drop it in the VS Code, that whole password generator folder. Low key.
There we go.
Yeah, just had to extract it.
There we go. All right. Exit that one out. Exit on it out.
You're still gonna need to open it up in VS Code if you don't already have it open.
Yeah, I think yeah, this one.
You got a few books open.
All right, I'm good.
That's definitely the right one? Because all of those have.
Yeah, I hope so.
You can test it.
Sorry, I feel like you're like breaking up. I can't really hear y'all like that. I don't know if it's me.
Okay, so we can test it. Do a console
Okay.
log inside of password generator JS. Do a console log of like hi or whatever, and then refresh the page in the browser and see if it's there. If it is there, then we in the right one.
Oh, wait. Hold on. All right, was that right?
Yeah, you just need another double quote.
Another double quote.
Yeah, after the I. And then close it. Yeah.
Oh, I know. That-
Don't
Make
forget.
sure to save it.
I'll save. Got it. All right.
You gotta
I'll
go
go to.
right. Yeah. So it's I don't know why yours look like that, but yeah, it's not there. It looked like that's not the right one. What you can do is that folder, you can drag it on top of VS Code and it should enter. It should open up in VS Code if you do that.
Drag this. Oh. That wasn't it. Wait, drag the starter zip. Wait, let me go back to the hold on.
Right. The folder that you renamed.
Was that my dashboard? Oh no, it was in JavaScript.
Yeah, I think that was it. It was starter.
I thought I changed it to password generator.
Oh yeah, you
but-
definitely did. Right. You're right. You definitely did. It's in your download.
Oh,
You put it on your desktop.
support that. Yeah. Oh man. All right.
Yeah, you
Like
put
your
the folder
desktop?
on your desktop. You unzipped it to your
So
desktop,
my-
and then it started 3. Unzipped.
Yeah, but where it did not rename or it
Click,
didn't
click in the,
change.
click in the, click in the. Go
The
inside
starter
the
zip?
starter 3. Yeah. No, that's unzipped. That's the one you want though.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But
And then drag and drop password generator over VS Code. Bang, boom, bam, bam.
Yep.
Okay, there you go. You can exit, get started. Just go to the index.html. Right click it. Right click index.html. Go to copy path.
go to what?
Copy path.
Oh, copy pad. Yeah.
And then you can go to your web browser and then paste in whatever you just copied. And then it's going to open up the document for that. And then you can go to password generator stuff. No, your web browser. So go to Google. And then copy over that. You can copy over that. It's probably the exact same, but I just copy and repaste just for the sake of Visa, man. There you go. All right. That's it. So now when you work in there, it's gonna show up for sure.
Okay. Let me go. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. The only thing I would do, so if you go back to your browser, if you look in the dev tools, it look like in the dev tools in the top left hand corner, you can see something highlighted in blue. I want you to click, click that. Okay, that puts it back to the regular view. The view that you had it in was like a tablet or something like that. So
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
all right, so
I can stay here if I mean I can do it.
Yeah.
Everyone's quiet now.
I just want to do a quick intro of what the password generator do. Unless, yeah, let me just share my screen real quick, and I'll just quickly go over what it's supposed to look like, just so y'all can get the word.
Where are you at?
Okay, so this is a password generator. Let me open this up. So this is it right here, this first app, or second app, password generator. Basically, whenever you notice that each of these options have different type of characters. This is all uppercase, lowercase, numbers, special characters. If you click one of these and press generate password, we can see that this changed to all uppercase. And if I keep clicking this, it keeps changes. It keep changing to uppercase letters. Now, if I click lowercase and click this generate password again, it's changing it to uppercase and lowercase, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to click all of them. And this has a combination of uppercase, lowercase, special characters, and numbers. The other thing you have to do is whenever you click this, it changes to the text copied, and then you're able to actually copy the password. I just copied it here. I'm gonna copy it here so people can see. This is that the series of characters that was inside of this box here. Okay. GI1 parenthesis SB5 and then like the number sign. So we're able to generate a password and we're able to click this and copy it automatically without like me doing it. We're copying it. We're going to copy it with JavaScript. So yeah, that is a password generator. Any questions before we start?
Is there any password length requirements?
No password length requirements. I mean, if y'all finish that, y'all can even add that feature in there. That'll be, just make sure it at least have one of each. In the actual course, the requirement is at least 8 characters, but as long as y'all get it done, that's all that really matters. So
All right, so it seems like we're gonna share diamond screen and get to it.
All right. Let me see. What's the other thing doing that? Yeah. Go ahead and delete this.
feel free to throw out your ideas.
I don't know.
And so I guess we asked, what do we got to do
My
first?
bad, guys. What do I gotta do first, class?
I remember the first thing was to add the text to the boxes. Like on the app right now, none of the boxes say anything as far as what the password will require, like the uppercase, lowercase, special characters. I think numbers was the other one.
So I actually looked at the video. I did it a different way, low key, but well, wait, what?
Go ahead, Jay. I'm listening. I'm
trying to figure.
Oh no, I'm trying to figure out what you're doing.
Don't we gotta kind of identify what HTML elements we're gonna start messing with?
That probably help.
Yeah, we gotta go to and the dev tools and click on those boxes so we'll know what they're already called. So we can get those by ID.
Yeah, you probably want to make that VS Code full screen, give yourself some
I'm
room.
sorry, my end is like breaking up really bad. It's like
All right, can you mic check 1 2? Can you hear me?
there we
Mic
go.
check 1
Yeah,
2
I
1
hear you,
2.
Jay. What you say?
All right, couple things. First thing, you probably want to make that VS Code full screen because it's gonna give you some extra space to work with. Then, yeah, just go on full screen that. Then, there you can actually open the index.html up right next to your your password generator JavaScript folder, doing a half screen thing. So if you drag that index.html to the right side of your screen, excuse me, you would or to the left side. Or you can do that, right. So now we can see them both at the same time. I do that because it helps. And then scroll down to the password generator section of his code, of his HTML code. And then no, go back to the index.html. Just scroll down to
Scroll down
the you did, yeah, there you go. All that good stuff.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, that was quick. Okay, I was gonna take another bite of food. All right, cool. So that's what we got to work with. And you can scroll right to left in the index.html as well, because we're gonna have to do that. So I was
Oh yeah, this is
lazy.
what I was about
I
to
didn't.
put right here. I was about to start
Yeah.
right here, but that's wrong.
Yeah, I was super lazy. I instead of using JavaScript to populate that, I just typed it in. So I just
Type it in.
yeah, in between my span tags. So if you scroll to the right and in your index, well, no, literally there's a bar at the bottom that you can kind of drag. If you see it when you move in your window, there's a bar that shows up at the bottom of your screen, or at the bottom of the VS Code.
It's the gray bar.
Your
But,
sharing
yeah,
box
the
is
gray bar.
on top of it. That's probably why. Like if you can move that white box that says stop sharing, like move that whole box down some.
Click
You
hide.
can
There you go.
hide,
Yep.
and it'll be the gray bar.
The gray bar right here.
Yeah, that
Is
looks like
it
it.
allowing you to
Scroll
drag
over.
it?
Y'all want me to? Do you see where my cursor is at? Y'all want me to drag that over to here?
No, just scroll it over. Like you know how you're on a website and you gotta scroll over to the right because your browser isn't big enough. Yeah, like that. I think that's what he's referring to.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So right between my span tags, I just threw the letters in, which may not be the most
So you took this.
optimum way. Whoa, slow down. In between the span tags, not replacing the ID.
In between the span tags. So just copying uppercase letters.
Okay.
These are the span tags.
So
right?
the span, yeah, exactly. The span tags, one tag start with the left arrow and ends with the right arrow. Then the next tag start with the open arrow and ends with the right arrow. In between the two tags, so in between the right arrow, if you go to the end of that tag, yep, right there. Literally, I just typed in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, etc. All caps. I just typed it in myself. Like I said, that may not be the best way. May not be the optimum way. But I just typed it in that way. Yeah. real lazy. Like
Is there a function where you can just say insert alphabet to make it?
you'll still. So I'm pretty sure you can. Like, let me
But
see.
we have to add the text first to the, because the boxes is blank. So before we enter like the strings on the possibilities for the generator, we need the actual display of the uppercase, the lowercase, the numbers, and the special characters.
Mm,
I think
that
that
span,
has
that span has an ID, so you can target that ID and then use your inner text function or method. I'm sorry, you use your inner text method to add the letters in if you want to. But I'm lazy, and the character's not gonna change at all. So I just literally just typed it in. But if you want to,
To display the text.
Can I use input ID
Um, well, you
checkbox? Like, can I use this over here? Can I?
it would
Hold on, let
more
me go
be
back.
like const uppercase
Yeah, can I use
letters.
this? Yeah, can I use that ID and then? Let me see.
Not checkbox,
you
just the, like if you go into the Chrome and then click the actual box so it can take you straight to that like that div, that div for the ID, then we can start so we can display what it's for.
Yeah, where is the
You gotta go to the mobile version first so it could come up.
yeah.
Oh, you passed it.
Oh yeah, it's over there. All right.
Yeah, so now if you click on that box next to the mobile version, the box with the arrow, so you can target exactly what you're looking for, and then click on that first use element.
the checkbox. Click on the
Oh,
checkbox, the first checkbox.
you on your screen, go down to the where it say use, the first
All
one.
There you
right.
go.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, go to use, because that one is yeah. Click on that, and then it'll show you in the dev tools where it's located.
How you make this a little bigger right here?
You might have
Okay.
to go to that line over top of styles, computed, layout, and then pull it down. Yeah, right there. Pull it down.
Okay.
And then go into that first div that's already highlighted. The arrow on the side. So it could drop down. We wanna target the uppercase letters, but not the actual checkbox. There we go. Uppercase letters.
Yeah, there's a checkbox right here.
The one under that one.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Span between span. Okay. All right.
So if you
So
copy that,
if you want to add text to that span, you can target the span with the get element by ID, and then you can add letters and stuff to it using the inner text function, the inner text method. Keep on calling it a function. So get element by ID, uppercase letters, and then so you gonna come, you keeping that just for a how do you say, template, right, of what you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you may want to comment it out so it don't mess or interfere with your excuse me, program.
cool.
Just click it and oh no, that man, I don't know how to do it on Windows. Oh, or you could just type it in the easy way.
All right. So it's current.
No,
Well,
not so
since
much
you
box. Okay. Oh, take your
Right.
caps off.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right.
nailed it.
I forgot what he called it in the video, but he did const and then like password generator or something like that.
Oh, the password generator.
And
Yeah, gotcha.
then
No, and since we only
The
changing the
password
letters for
generator. Constant password generator.
yeah. Make sure you capitalize your G too.
Oh shit, I always do that. Yeah.
Then at the get by ID, you gotta do the why you delete your
right.
stuff?
So what are we
But
trying to
ain't
do?
this supposed to be blue? It's not supposed to be white like that, right?
I don't know. Everybody colors is different, so I can't really say what color it's supposed to be because my theme color is totally different.
I think I
I think you're right to continue though, because I think it'll change colors as you assign stuff to it.
All right, so document
That
dot.
said, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to change? Are we trying to add the letters to the span with that ID?
No,
Because
we
if that's
gotta
what we're
add the
trying to,
text. We gotta add the text first. Cause right now, if you
right?
go to the app, it's blank.
Mm-hmm. So
So how you
do we
add the
want to
text?
just
I have on
call
my
it?
note. I got input type equals text. Is that how you add the text in? I have that in my notes
But
here.
first, we gotta target that box so we can add it first. So that's what this is right here. Is like grabbing this element by ID so we can add the text into it.
Would it make it? Would it make it a little bit easier to recognize if we call our constant the exact same thing as the ID, right? So our constant is uppercase letters because we're trying to get the uppercase letters.
Oh,
Would that make sense?
He
oh
used
yeah.
that. He used that in like a different line, but that first line wasn't uppercase. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I don't know. I still gotta watch that section a few more times.
I mean,
I
we
I
doing
want to
our
know
thing. So
I kind of want to know what's the difference in between what you were saying with adding the type and what Ja was doing with the span. Like that's kind of the same thing, ain't it?
No, so
yes,
what I was doing was if you go on your password generator app, nothing is there. So you know how you got the check boxes if you need a password that need uppercase, lowercase numbers, and special characters, and you can pick whichever one to generate the password based off of what that website needs. So what Jay was adding was the actual string. So he was adding the actual alphabet, the all caps alphabet to that first checkbox and the lowercase to the next one and all the numbers, 0 through 9, and then the possible special characters you can use. So that's the difference. I was just going off of like the front of it where you can actually see the text, and he was more starting off with the back end of it, which is the actual values of what those boxes will include, if that makes any sense.
that make perfect sense. Special talk that talk, girl. I'll see you out here.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I was just starting like on the face of it. So like we can physically see what we're working on at a time versus starting on the back end and then bringing it the display to the surface. That's just easier for me, like so I can see what I'm doing, one by one versus, Jay event. So he's starting in the back. He's starting in the back end.
I'm lazy. It's all good.
So after the get element by ID, then you want to paste the ID of the uppercase letters in there. I think you need the parentheses in there first though. On your line 3.
Yeah, we need to specify which element we getting. So right now we getting
Parentheses around
no
document dot get element by
Ne-
ID.
No, after
no.
get ID.
Oh,
You
after
want-
yeah. by ID.
Yeah. And
Then
then
type in a
inside of the
string.
parentheses, you want to add the ID, which is the uppercase letters. Oh, got my notebook.
I don't know how to write it.
Go inside your parentheses.
You can just copy and paste it, can't you?
Yeah, you could just paste it inside your parentheses.
Make sure you make it a string with the double quotes.
You
So
can
I'm
And you
copy
pasting
already have your
uppercase letters. I'm pasting this inside
no, just so that one says
or
checkbox.
go back to the
So yeah, right on your password generator tab, the uppercase letters inside your span on the right file, the file on the right. No, actually go to your right side. Oh yeah, you can do that too. You can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
that's what y'all talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now when we add the lowercase letters, what are we going to call that constant? And how are we going to add those?
Maybe we should just call it uppercase, like uppercase, and lowercase, like that. Is that back and forth?
Yeah, that's fine. I know, like I said, I gotta watch that video a couple more times. I'm trying to go based off my memory and my little bit of notes that I took down.
Yeah.
So you should be able to copy and do that for all of them and just change the IDs on them from
Well,
the
do we want to change the IDs or do we want to add text? Are we
Yeah,
changing
I'm gonna
IDs?
put this here because since I had these
well,
notes, I don't have a
it's
whole
not
lot of notes.
necessarily
I think
changing IDs, but you got to make one for each one. So if she copied that, she wouldn't have to type it all over again. So like if she copy it and then paste it and then go in and then put in the lowercase, the numbers and the special characters, just to like save
Ah,
time when you're writing it out.
so you mean for
hold on
each
real
of
quick,
the
y'all.
hold it. So you mean for each of her constants, since she's calling all of these oh shoot, elements. Not elements. Oh my gosh. I can't speak. I can't speak Java anymore.
Wait, Diamond, what
Basically,
you was trying to do?
My bad. Step away. Oh yeah, no, I had some notes that said like input type equals text. So I was thinking that was probably how you would add the text in. Hey, let me just do it real quick. Second.
Well, first we would have to call. We would need the arrow function to set it all up. But I was starting off with the just grabbing each ID first and putting all of that in one arrow function.
I think I know what you're doing with that input. That it was input, then it was the ID, then you had type, and that equals what you was trying to actually go after.
You said input. It was ID before text.
Yeah. So it was input, then it was ID, and then it was type, and then it was. That's what I had. If you're like,
If it would be that, then it'd be ID equals quote, and then what you have the ID as, right?
yeah, so it would be equals, right?
Oh, that looks weird to me. I don't know.
You're using HTML and JavaScript?
Okay, that's my bad. My bad, guys. My bad. I'm sorry. I should maybe be quiet.
Listen, I don't know what I'm doing.
Everybody
No,
gets
you
it
good.
wrong.
You A1.
Oh,
You all
that
good,
okay.
man.
I just peeped what you said. Okay. Okay. So all that was HTML. Let me write that here in my notes too. Confusing. All right.
You may be able to do it. I don't know.
No.
I never tried it.
No.
Okay,
I
for
got all these check boxes, so don't worry about the check boxes right now. We just try to get the ID of each one. So let me do lowercase. Yeah, let me just do all that. Hold on a second.
So
Well,
yeah,
the
you could just
checkbox got
copy that
IDs on
whole
them.
line and paste it so you don't have to type it all out, and then you'll just change the uppercase letters to the next one and the next one and the next one.
okay, I think I got it. So, and basically, if the ID is the checkbox, right? In JavaScript, and basically you do the document get element by ID to reference the checkbox.
Well,
Okay,
you
now I
use
should-
the get element by ID to target whatever
Okay.
element
Yeah.
you want. But right now the checkbox is fine. We just need to get the text in there.
Password numbers.
Yeah, I'll be quiet.
I
You could
don't.
just copy and paste that diamond and say you Tom. And then don't forget you also gotta match it up in the inside of the parentheses.
Yeah, so it'll probably be much safer and easier to just copy and paste that. And if you double click,
Lord have mercy.
Control
I
Z.
was like,
Control Z. The
Just
best.
double click it. Just
Yeah,
double
that's
click
it.
the word, and it'll just highlight just special
Just the
characters.
word. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You gotta get
Now
your
you
quotes
wanna.
out of there.
all right, look okay.
And then you gotta copy them and paste them inside your parentheses too.
Oh yeah, got you. So this one was a lower. Numbers. What's the password?
Capitalize your numbers.
And this one was special.
It's probably quicker and safer just to copy and paste.
You gotta
Just so you don't.
capitalize your C too, your characters.
Ooh, just a little bit more.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you gotta get
Oh.
rid of that input tag. That's why that first const is got the error on it.
Forget this. Oh, okay.
Now you gotta put this gotta go inside of the arrow function. I don't remember if on the website if he saved it and then checked the console before he kept going. I don't remember.
I mean,
Let me save
so
it.
what checking the console does is just to make sure that you didn't mess up. So every time he was taking his time building each part, checking each part just to make sure he didn't mess nothing up and then going on with the building. So he was just literally, it was a measure twice, cut once type situation. So in this case, we already logged each of the constants. We haven't changed them yet. So there's not really much to check. We just, we can, I guess, we'll be able to check if we set the constants right. If when we do our text entering.
Y'all let me know if this is the right
Oh no, that's
function.
cool. That's a cool name.
I'm not doing something right with this. Hold on.
Like you
Nah,
good. You just
keep
gotta
going. Keep going.
finish your arrow function. So add your open bracket. Well, it's gonna add both brackets, but you have to delete the ending bracket and put that at the end. So all of that is inside of the function.
There you go.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So this
Hit the
okay.
enter, Roni.
Yeah, just delete the ending bracket.
And
Or
then
you
copy
can
Now
all
you
this inside
yeah,
in
you can
here.
do it either or, it don't matter.
you have to declare that that function.
Yeah, you need a const on that.
I'm deleting this part, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
And then you can either document format or just tab over your other const. And
Right here.
yeah, your other three.
Oh,
You can
document format. That's this, right?
yeah, you could do either or.
Mm,
And then you
shit,
need const on your password generator options at the top.
Password.
yeah, declare the function.
Oh, a concept
The
here.
function
Okay.
variable.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be lined up together, or it's supposed to be like that?
No, that's good.
No, that's
Because
cool.
the other ones is inside of that function, so it's not gonna be like
Oh,
on the
gotcha.
same level. Yeah. So you can save that. Mm.
Now we got to add some text into it, because right now we calling everything, but we ain't doing nothing to it.
Well, we didn't call it yet, right?
We did uppercase get element by ID uppercase. That was
Oh, I
us.
thought like council log was calling it. That's not calling it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, we referencing each of those functions now, or each of those spans. So like we're targeting those spans now, but we're not doing anything to the targeted spans. So we still want to add the letters. So now we can do
Should I
the
go
inner
back?
texting. Oh, you're not gonna see nothing in the
Well,
document yet.
yeah, I wouldn't do the letters yet because we gotta wait a minute. Let me go on my book. I sounded a little too confident right here.
No, Phil, ride the confidence out. Let's see where it go.
All right, let me see.
Be confident.
I just don't know if it's outside of the function.
It is not.
It's not?
It is not.
Okay, well, let me go back in there. I feel like I'm doing a lot of cons. It might, slow down, slow down.
Get the curly bracket back up in there. Okay, there we go. Hit the enter again. Give yourself some space.
Right though. Yeah, let me get a couple of spaces because I feel like I'm messed up.
Now let's start putting text inside of each one of those spans.
We don't we return the work? I don't know. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I think you're right, Special. That's where I'm getting at too. I remember some. I think you did all fields. Let me see.
Yeah, don't necessarily just try to remember the video step by step. Let's we know what we need to do, so let's just do that step by step, and then we can probably
see. I do be trying to memorize
there. Yeah, so don't just go off the memory. Try to construct it, so that way we not putting the cart before the horse, because I feel like that may be putting the cart before the horse. Okay. I feel like we got no horse carts. Cart seen horse. Because we still haven't put any text in there yet. We getting all the fields, but we're still setting the password, the generator options. So I don't know how we getting all the fields yet.
Okay.
I don't know if there's not really anything to get because it's all blank.
Or can I cancel log get fields and it will get in there? Maybe.
Nah, you gotta
No.
you gotta set the inner text of the span to whatever you want to set it to.
So will we go into each one and then do div dot inner text
So erase.
and editing, or
Yes
Yeah.
and
So
no.
you want me to erase get fields and do inner text dot something?
Well, it'd be something
Sure.
dot inner text because you're trying to. So for each one of those constants, those document get element by ID, like each one of those constants is like referring to some that span that you want to fill up with text, whatever text you want to fill it up with. We've targeted those spans to say, hey, these are the spans that we're interested in. But we haven't told the program what to do at all with the spans that we were interested in. So we don't know.
Oh, but that's
program
why
ain't doing
special
that yet.
when special mentioned the return, wouldn't that do that?
Return is to give you a value based on some function, some operator, whatever the case is. So it's returning a value or a string or whatever. But we're not necessarily trying to return anything. We're trying to enter text into a certain location, like a certain oh my gosh, element.
so you think we should do like uppercase letters dot inner text and then uppercase letters again?
Then lower.
That sounds very close to being correct.
I don't know how to
Not
write
quite
that.
That sounds very close to what we want to do. Right? So we want to let's figure out what we want to do. We want to literally add A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P and uppercase letters in that uppercase letters span, right? In a lowercase letter span, we want to add A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, etc.
Oh,
But
see,
lowercase
you
though.
still working on the back end. That's why we talking about two different things. I see what you're saying.
No, it's the front. In this case, it's going to be the front end because this
Well,
is
when
still what we're trying to
it's
do.
not going to display the literal alphabet. It's just going to say you want to use uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. You're not going to be able to see the actual alphabet on the app.
Okay, well, let's test it.
Hold on. Would it actually be though? Would it be the upper, like, would it be the uppercase? So whatever is in the document, the classes that are in the document get element by ID, then it would be dot inner text equals the ABCDD. Wouldn't it be that?
That sounds about right. If you guys want to try it, we can see.
I thought that's going to display what you put inside of the text.
Well, those spans that remember in HTML, once you put some between span tags, it's going to literally show the text between the span tags. So if we put some characters between those span tags, then our HTML document that we're going to be looking at will most likely show those letters, whatever we put there. And div is some constant. So we want to make sure that we're using, yeah, there you go.
Your text got to be
and for some reason that, yeah, there you go. And so
it's all white.
okay, yeah, let's see what it do.
Let me see this.
But delete your cons off.
We didn't do
fields first. There's nothing in there.
Hold on, breaking. Especially you breaking up. Say it one more time.
I'm sorry. I was saying you might want to get rid of the cons, get all fields, that arrow function.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, excuse me.
And make sure you save everything too. The HTML, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it was all white. So
yeah, I saved it.
It looked like it was wrong.
Oh, wait, we didn't cancel it.
No, y'all didn't. We didn't console log anything. You should, when you enter text, you
Yeah.
should see that on the whatever you call that thing there. You got to refresh too in order for the changes to pick up.
Yeah, refresh it. Ain't nothing.
That's so interesting. I thought it would close it. Every time it does it,
Yeah.
close. I have
So
to
would
open it
it
back
be
We didn't log
die?
there. I think that's a problem. I think we-
up. Oh, we breaking up.
There's an error in the console. That's why it's not showing up. There should be an error in the console.
Oh wait, go back to the console. I was looking at my own screen. I didn't even realize.
Okay, so there's not, but there definitely is. If you go to your JavaScript file really quick, the VS Code. So text right here, on line 7, you did inner text equals text, but text is, it's not like defined anywhere. Is that supposed to be like a variable, or I don't know if maybe I missed it, or
I know. I thought it does look a little weird. I'm like, why is it just all white like that? I don't know.
yeah, and that's another
maybe I
thing.
should-
Yeah, it's, I thought the actual color is supposed to show up, and it's not showing up on your VS Code. That's it's normally not like a good sign. I'm not sure why it's not showing up. Document, get everybody.
Does the placement matters? Like if she had that like directly under cons uppercase letters instead of all the way at the bottom, like does that matter?
No, that shouldn't matter. No, I know what you mean. You mean like right next to, like on line 4 as opposed to line 8.
Right. So
Yeah.
that don't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so text here, you want to put that inside of quotes on line 8. I don't know if you were,
Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
that's supposed to be all of like the letters or whatever. But yeah, if you just literally just put text, the text should show up on your to show up in the browser once you refresh it.
Okay.
And then let's save the HTML too. Two. Nope. Okay.
Wait, did I refresh?
You
Okay.
definitely
I did.
did.
Okay. Let me. Did I save it? Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
save the HTML,
Alright.
HTML as well.
Text.
Oh yeah, maybe that's
There
the
we go.
problem. Right. You just.
I'm wondering if it's there and we just can't see it because it's like a dark background. If you go to the element tab and try to,
Oh, there you go. A B C D E F G. There you go, y'all.
okay,
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's
that's
because
not what
we
need to be there.
that
That's
was the
supposed to be the back end.
right, that was already there. Yeah.
Oh. Sorry.
So when he asked that question, like what was the difference? This was the difference. So I was, saying stuff based off of what's going to be physically displayed on the front. But the actual values when you click that checkbox will be all of these possible capital letters. But it wasn't supposed to show it on the app. It's just supposed to say uppercase letters.
Yeah, it's I think so far y'all was doing pretty good working together. It looks really good. I'm thinking I should probably start going over the solution.
Yes, let's use a lifeline.
Unless y'all want to continue and I can go over the solution at 12, but I don't want to, it's almost 12 now. So.
Dang, that sounds a lot fast.
applies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
No, seriously, we only got done this. Shoot.
Let me actually go over the solution. I'll share my screen really quick. So share my screen. Here. I'm literally just gonna go over the solution. I'm not about to read. I'm not going to write the whole thing, but I do want to say a few notes, right, that I was copying down as y'all was like talking. Remember y'all was saying like to copy and paste, like please always copy and paste. I think it was one point in the when y'all was trying to solve it, like there was like a lowercase n for like numbers or something like that, like stuff like that. Whenever you copy and paste, it avoids all misspellings, because misspellings are like one of the most common things that cause bugs. So everybody copies and pastes, like, so that's one. Another thing that y'all was mentioning was should y'all console log after y'all did like the doc get element by ID? Should you console log it to make sure it's actually right? And I would actually check as you go. So I would console log that. What if console log is literally like the div or whatever, like you would see the div in the console. That's and I think that's a good way to just kind of check as you go, because if you check as you go, you avoid bugs. Like you don't want to get a bug after you wrote like 20 lines of code or whatever. You want to definitely check as you go. And as you get more experience with it, you're going to start checking less and less, because you already know that the stuff is going to work. So that's the other one. And the third thing I noticed is, like, I honestly did not know that the dev tools can be opened the way y'all was opening it, like making this like the mobile view or whatever. I didn't even try it on my end, but y'all was doing it this way. But what you can do is just click this show projects button and it opens up. I feel like that's probably like the better way to do it. Why is that? Yeah, this show projects button is probably the best way to open that up. And that way you don't have to go into this smaller view to see the projects. So that was the third thing.
Oh yeah, it did work. Yeah.
I have a question, because then I thought that, like, and I was going off of memory, so I thought it was actually just telling you the options, not like you physically seeing all of the letters and numbers and characters. So that's
Yeah.
my apologies.
That was it. You were right about that. I'm showing you the finished project right now. That's why all of these are showing. The way y'all went about it when y'all first started off, that was correct. Y'all had to actually fill these up. And let me disconnect this. I'm just gonna comment everything out just so y'all see how it looks.
Oh yeah, you did use return. Just special, you was right about that.
Yeah. And that brings to another thing, like I think y'all was having a like a discussion about like what the video did versus what y'all should do. I think going with the video is a good like training wheels or whatever, like a good like thing to reference. But there is like a lot of different ways to do the same thing. So if y'all did go through the videos and y'all did it a little bit different, then it's fine. As long as it works, that's all that really matters. But I will say the way I did it, like in the course, was actually like really like I felt like the way I did it was really, really good. Like it was I was even looking back at the code myself, and the way I organized it was good. But that being said, like there's different ways to do the same thing. Whatever works for you is how you should do it. So yeah. But let me go over, I'm gonna go over the project, like the actual solution, right? And stop me if you have any questions, right? So I'm going to collapse a lot of these, and I'm gonna go through each of these functions one by one, and I'll go through all of like the variables as we get to them, basically. So if we look at this, right, we have a bunch of variables here. Like we have the uppercase, we have like some text stuff, and we're going to use all of these inside of these functions. So we got a bunch of variables and we got a bunch of functions here, right? And then we're only calling one function. So literally, if I was to comment this function out, this function says set password options. If I comment that out and refresh it on this end, open this up, we can see that these are all empty. Like we don't have any like text in here. And the way Jay was doing it, where he was actually putting the text inside of the HTML file. If I open that up, so the password, I think y'all was actually putting it inside of the these span tags here. Like that would work. You could do it that way. For me, it's better to do it from the JavaScript, because if you do it from the JavaScript end of it, I mean, either way will work, but from the JavaScript end of it is a little bit more safe, I should say, because anybody can, like, if a hacker comes or whatever, they can like change like the characters here or whatever in the HTML file, but it's a little bit more difficult to go in and change the JavaScript file. But that's like beyond, like me talking about like hacking and stuff like that. It's beyond like what we're doing here. So either way will work in that case, but I would definitely always do it from the JavaScript file. But yeah, we saw that when we commented this out, like this wasn't showing here. So that tells you that this function is what actually sets those values inside of here. And I'm gonna walk through what the function does. So we have set password here, right? I'm gonna open this up, and it does two things. The first thing it does is it gets all fields, and we'll go inside of that and we'll see exactly what that means. The next thing we do is after we get all of the fields, we pass that into this set text of generator function. Like I said, we'll go into that as well. I'll put a debugger just so that we can see some of this stuff in action. Go to the browser, refresh, right? Since we called that function, now we're inside of set password options. I'm gonna go to the next line, and now it's highlighting over this get all fields, and I'm gonna go inside of that function with this downward arrow. So inside of get all functions, we're returning something, and I think this is what y'all was talking about in the when y'all was talking amongst yourselves also. What I'm returning is an object. One of the reasons I'm returning an object is because first I wanted to get used to the idea of using objects to get like multiple things, and this is a way to do that. The second thing is I feel like it's better to get all of these at the exact same time. It's much more efficient. It's faster because you do it all on one return inside of one function. All this, and like I was saying before, like you want your functions to do one thing. This literally just gets us all of the fields, and it's doing the same thing y'all was doing. We're using this we're using the get by ID. And get by ID is inside of that util folder here. Get by ID is just doing this get element by ID, and it's passing in the ID, putting it into this variable, and it's returning the HTML element. So it's the same thing y'all was doing, except for it's using a function to do it for us, a function that we defined in this util.js file. So if I press this, right, and I look at this return object, what was actually returned, I can see that I'm returning. Let me go back here first. We're returning a few things. We're returning uppercase letters, lowercase, password, number, and special characters. And the IDs that I'm passing in, they match up with the variables that's up top. So I'm gonna go to this in the in here really quick, just to show y'all. That's here, get all fields. This matches up with this variable. So I literally have all the IDs inside of variables. So instead of putting text, I could have put the text there like y'all was doing, like the get element by ID and then put the text there. But I want to put a variable that reference the string, because I'm gonna be using the same string in other functions, and I don't want to misspell something. Basically, that's the whole point of me putting it inside of these variables. So I'm getting by ID, and all of these will equal all of the HTML elements because these are the ones that go through the util.js file here. So I'm gonna go back to if I'm going too fast, stop me also. I'm trying to break all this stuff down a little by little. So please let me know if I lose you at all. Either way, if I go back to the return value, we can see that that we have lowercase letters, and the value for lowercase letters is, let me see if I can close this. I think I'll make this bigger. Okay, so the value is that HTML element, the span with the ID of lowercase. If I click on it, it brought me to, where is it? There we go, this lowercase letters here. I'm gonna go back to source. We have the numbers here, we have the special characters, and we have the letters. So literally, this function gave us back an object with all of the keys as their IDs, and all of the values as the HTML elements that matched up with those IDs. I'm gonna press next here, and if I hover over all fields, we can see that all of that information is stored inside of this variable all fields object with keys and values. Now what I want to do is I want to take all of those fields and I want to set the text for all of them. How we had like the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like the uppercase, lowercase, the numbers, and the special characters. I'm gonna do all of that stuff inside of set text of generator. And I could have named this a little bit better, to be honest, but I'm passing this in an object, and I'm going inside of that function. And we can see that that object is here, passed in as a parameter. So since we know this is an object, I'm basically going to loop over this object. And depending on which field we're currently on, when we're looping over it, we're going to set the text of that. We're going to set the inner text of it. And I'm going to go through so we can see this actually happen. Press this button here.
So you use so you use for and loop and if else to set it. That's what's going on right here.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I'm using a combination of both. Yeah. All of those tools that we have, like always like think of ways to combine them, to use them together. So this is literally that whole for loop here. And inside of the for loop, I'm using if statements.
Okay.
So I'm gonna press next here, right? Since we're looping over this, the first key that we see is uppercase letters, right? So first thing I want to do is I want to get the element from that. So I'm gonna do fields bracket. Remember bracket notation, and I'm gonna put the key in there, and that's gonna give me the value. The value is the element that spanned with the ID of uppercase letters. So now I'm going to use if statements here. Use if and if else statements basically. So I'm saying if key, the key is currently uppercase letters. If that equals the variable uppercase letters, remember that variable is defined up here. Uppercase letters is here. And I also used it here, the exact same text, and I'm using it here, which is why I put it into a variable to begin with, so we won't have to worry about like misspelling stuff. So this key is actually equal to the variable uppercase. So it's going to go inside of that, and it's going to set the inner text of the element to uppercase letters. And I store that into a variable as well. I mean, it's going to set it to uppercase, I'm sorry. And uppercase is here. Just putting it into a variable. So that's going to set that inner text, and it's going to skip over all of the rest of these if statements because they all get skipped. So now we're on a second iteration where the key is lowercase, and we do the exact same thing. We grab the element, which is that value. It's got lowercase. That's that span with the ID of lowercase. We go through this if statement. We get inside of this one, since it equals lowercase, and we set the inner text to uppercase dot to lowercase. Now, I could have made another variable and just did all of this in lowercase, but I'm a lazy developer, and I know that JavaScript can do this for me. And the way I make all of these lowercase is using this toLowercase method. So I'm going to set the inner text of this to all these lowercase letters. And honestly, if I wanted to check that, let me see, can I just ever check that? I guess we'll have to check after we get through this. But yeah, it's the same deal here. Now we're on password numbers. We go inside of this one now. We set the inner text to all numbers, which is literally all of the numbers as defined up here inside of this variable. Set that inner text, and we're going to set the inner text of the special characters because the key is now special characters. And we could have done another if else statement where it was like, okay, if else key equals, it would like be another variable special characters. We could have did that, but since we know that that's literally the only thing that's left over, I'm just going to put an else. I don't need to check the if statement because I know it's going to be special characters. So I'm going to set the inner text of this span with the ID of special characters to all of the special characters that I have inside of the variable, all special characters. And I had that up here as well. So all
So I know Jay was about to have us do uppercase dot inner text. So that in the work, you had to use element dot inner text.
Yeah, that would work.
What you're trying to target.
Yeah, that
would have worked too.
Yeah, as long as you grab the element by ID and then set the inner text, that's all you really have to do. The way I'm doing it here is it's a little bit more involved, but the way I'm doing it, it gives you the ability to like to scale it out. Like if you was to put more than just like one, like if you was to put like another, like we have uppercase, lowercase, numbers, special characters. If you was to put like another condition or something like that, you can always add that here, and then you can like just add another else statement or whatever. Like the way I did it, you can adjust it and make changes to it without changing too many things, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, either way is fine. However you want to do is fine. But that's the end of this function. All that function did was get all the fields and then set all of the fields. And now we're able to see the actual letters in there here. Right. I'm noticing that it's already 12. I'm going to continue going through the solution, but I don't want anyone to feel like they have to stay if you already have like something to do. But I'm gonna continue going through this, and it's all recorded. So, yeah. So let me finish this out. So that was this, right? That was just these two. Now we have to actually, now that we have this stuff here, we have to actually like generate the password based off of which one of these is actually checked. And then we have to copy that password after. So in order to generate the password, I have a function that's doing that for us. If I go to, I'm gonna click on this and go here. If I go to here, this generate password button, we have this on click, and the on click fires this generate password function. So I'm gonna go to the JavaScript. We have the generate password function right here, and I'm gonna put a debugger here, right? And I'm gonna just go through it just like I did, so I can show you what my thought process is. I'm gonna check two of these boxes also. I'm gonna check uppercase and I'm gonna check lowercase. Actually, let me refresh first because it gotta hit that debugger. And let me get rid of the other one. I want to keep going through this. Save this. I'm gonna refresh again. Okay. So I'm gonna click this and this uppercase and lowercase. I'm gonna press generate password. So it hit the debugger just like we expected. It's gonna do a few things here. We have this variable, all boxes checked. We're setting this equal to this function here, what we're calling the function. So let's go inside of that function and see what that function does. If we go in there with this downward arrow, we're doing a few things here. Let me open this up a little bit more. The first thing we're doing, right, is we're getting all of those elements. We want to get the uppercase letter checkbox. We want to get the lowercase letter checkbox, the numbers checkbox, and the special characters checkbox. These are all of the IDs of these input boxes here. See, this input is uppercase letter checkbox. The input here is lowercase letter checkbox. We have this input, password number checkbox, and we have this one, special characters checkbox. The reason we want to get access to these is because after we get access to all of these, we can tell if any of these are actually checked. And to check to see if they're actually checked, we use this check property. So with the uppercase letters, we have the HTML element because we got it from this function here, which was inside of that util.js. So we have uppercase letters here, and it has a property of checked. And it's going to give you a Boolean, true or false. If it's already checked, it's true. If it's false, then it's not checked. So I'm putting those into their own variables here to see if each one of these are actually checked. So the uppercase letter is checked. The lowercase is checked. Numbers is false because it's not checked, and the special characters is also false because it's not checked as well. Then after that, then after that, I'm basically making an array here, like, and this array is basically going to represent all of the values that's actually checked. If it's uppercase, lowercase, whatever. So to do that, I'm using these if statements. Remember, we got Booleans on whether or not they were actually checked. If statement only needs a Boolean. So if upper is checked, we're going to push the uppercase letters ID inside of all checked values array. So now this one has one thing inside of it because we see that the uppercase letters is checked. It's going to do the same thing with the rest of these lowercase, numbers, special characters. And by the time we get down to the return, we can see that this array has two things in it. We have the uppercase letters and we have the lowercase letters. And again, like the way I'm doing this is not like, it's not like, you can always do this a different kind of way. You don't have to do it this way, but I'm choosing to do it this way because I want to use the different like things we learned about in the course. I want to put them together so you can see how all of them work together. So we have this array, all check values. I'm gonna go here to next. It's gonna return that and put that inside of this variable right here. So the next thing I'm gonna do is get access to the password button ID. The password button, I hover over this, we can see that that password button is actually what's being highlighted on in the HTML where it says your password. Then what I want to do is I want to set the inner text of this. So I'm doing password button.inner text, and I'm gonna set the inner text to whatever this function returns, this the get random characters function. So I'm gonna go inside of get random characters function and see what's going to be returned from here. So I went inside of there, right? I have the array of uppercase and lowercase, and I have we're gonna get to what this does in a second. This is basically gonna add up to be all of the random characters that we want to put inside of this box, and we'll see that in action also. So random characters, we're gonna see what this does a little later, but first we're gonna loop over this array of all of the things that's actually checked. So I'm going to go inside of that. It's saying data is going to represent each individual thing. Since this has uppercase in it, uppercase letters and lowercase letters, the first iteration is going to be uppercase letters. So we're saying if data or whatever is inside of it equals uppercase letters, what we're going to do is go inside this if statement, and then we're going to get random character from string. So we're going to get a random character from this string. Remember, this variable was defined above. A, B, C, D, all uppercase here. I'm gonna go inside of this random character from string function. And inside of that, I'm basically passing in a string, and I'm using this, this is inside of the util.js. So I'm using the function from a different file again. So I'm passing in a string, and I'm using this math.random to get a random index first. This string is, I forget how many, it's 26 or something like that, letters in the alphabet. But we're gonna get a value from 0 to the length of this string, and then we're gonna log out. We're gonna return the string at that index, and that gives us a random character inside of the string. So we're passing back A right now because we got 0 back. So A was our random character. We're just going to add that to this here, random characters. Right now, random characters is an empty string, but since we do this plus equals character, now random characters is A. So we're going to continue the loop. The next iteration was lowercase letters. So now we're going to go inside of here. We're going to get a random character from lowercase letters. Remember, uppercase dot to lowercase gives us back lowercase letters. After we get that random character, we got a V from there, and we're going to add that to this random character's variable. Right, and now we're finished looping through that because it only had 2 things inside of it. But in the project, we wanted to have a minimum of 8 characters. So what I wanted to do, so in order to check to see if we're at 8 characters, right now we're at 2 characters. I'm using this if statement to check the length. Since this length is only 2, because we only have 2 characters, we're going to return this function again, the exact same function that we're in. And if you get to that section, you're going to see something called recursion, and that a function calling itself, this is literally calling itself, is called recursion. So inside of this function, we're going to pass in the array again, the exact same one we used to see which one is actually checked, and we're going to pass in the letters that we already have. I'm going to go inside of that, and I have this array, and now we have this equal to a value. If we didn't pass anything in, remember how we do the default values? The first time we had an empty string, but since we passed something in, now we have letters here. Now I'm going to set random characters equal to whatever we just passed in. And I'm going to loop over this again to add 2 more things in there. I'm just going to skip over that whole thing. We already had AV, and now we have GF. We added the uppercase and the lowercase because we went through these if else statements here. Now we're going to check again to see if this is greater than 8, and it's not. We know the length of this is 4. And we're going to go inside of this again. Or now we'll pass in the new string here. We'll set this equal to that new string, and then we'll loop over this array again to add 2 more characters to this. And now we're at 6 because we have 6 characters here, which is still less than 8. So we're going to go inside of here again. We pass in the new string that we're building up. We keep building up the string little by little. Now we're going to add 2 more things because we have this. We only have 2 things here to loop through. So now we're currently at 8 characters. Length is 8 is not less than 8. So since it's not less than 8, we're going to go inside of the else statement, and we're going to return characters. I press this button here, right? I press this, it goes back to this return. Remember, we called this the previous time and we returned it. So now what we're actually returning is this. So this whole thing gets replaced with what we returned here. And we're going to do that again. I pressed this button and it went back to the next, the previous iteration. before we call this, and it's going to return this again. Well, it's going to return the built up version of it. And it's going to keep returning that built up version until we get like the actual text from this function. So now we got access to this, and we set the inner text to whatever was returned from, or ultimately returned from this function by doing recursion. And if you didn't already get to that video, once you get to password generator, it's somewhere in that section. So
Question.
yeah.
Why does your if loop, why does that if loop keep going back to the get generator function?
Right.
Like after you return the random characters, why does it keep going back? Yeah. So when you return your random characters, why does it keep going back to get random characters? Like why does it loop backwards?
Because we're calling it here. Are you asking like how is it doing it, or like why I'm doing it?
No, I'm just, so once we actually get random characters dot length to equal 8, you know, once we, I guess, get to the else statement, the
Right.
else if statement or the else statement, it starts looping backwards through the function.
Right.
Like I don't understand why it does that, or what that means.
Yeah.
I don't understand why I don't just literally do what return usually do and just kick out the function.
Right. So the reason it's doing it is because we keep returning this here. So just to try to visualize it, right? Remember we were going over this array, and the very first time around we only had 2 characters because we only had uppercase and lowercase. So then we called this function again, and we're returning. We want to return what this function returns, right? So we went back inside of the function, and we went back to this line, and we want to return what this function returns. We went back, then we came back through here because it still wasn't 8 characters. We want to return what this function returns again because it's not at 8 characters yet. By the time we get to this else, whenever it actually equals 8, whatever is finally actually returned from like the last call of this function gets returned to the previous time we called it, and then the previous time after that, and the previous time after that, until we break through each of the times that we called it. It really is a it's hard to wrap your mind around it, around like what actually is happening. But we're basically we just keep returning with the previous function call. I feel like I lost my I lost my words there, but we basically just keep returning. When we finally return that set of characters, every time we did this return and then we called the function, what's essentially happening is every time all of these things is going to get replaced with this, and it has to go backwards. It has to come out the other end because it has to follow like the order that it was being returned.
I think I understand.
Yeah.
I think I get it.
Yeah,
In order to get out of the function, they got to go back into the function and keep on returning that random characters over and over again to break out of the function.
Right.
Because we're using recursion.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's
Okay.
like
I think I get it.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. So that's basically what happened there. So now we have let me put this back here. Now we have the ability to put the text here, right? Now the next thing we want to do is we want to click this and copy that text. If I go to the HTML, I can see the on click is copy password. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take this debugger out and I'm gonna put it inside a copy password so we can see what happens inside of there. I'm gonna just do a refresh. And generate password. So I'm gonna click this, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the inner text of the password button. So we're going to do the document.getElement by ID, pass in the ID, and whenever this returns the element, we're going to get the inner text. So this gives us back whatever was actually there. The next thing we're going to do is use the Navigator. If you haven't already gotten to promises, a Navigator is a promise. What Navigator does is, and I'm gonna put two debuggers here. What Navigator does for us is it gives us the ability to use like things on your computer, like things in a browser, I should say. And in a browser, you can do a lot of different stuff. And one of the things you can do is copy. Like if I was to highlight something and press Command C or Control C on Windows, it's going to copy whatever is there. But this gives us the ability to copy something programmatically, like through JavaScript. So JavaScript is going to copy it for us. And the way we do that is we use Navigator, we use Clipboard. The clipboard is what things get copied to on your computer, if you didn't already hear about it before. And inside of the clipboard, we're going to use this write text thing. And write text is gonna write something inside of your clipboard. Every time you copy something, it goes inside of your clipboard, but we're gonna use JavaScript to write something inside of there. And the thing that we want to put inside of your clipboard is the text here. I'm gonna hit this play button, and there's an error for some reason. So with promises, we have two things here. We have a dot then and a dot catch. Whenever we get an error, it goes inside of this dot catch. But if it was copied correctly, it goes inside of the dot then. I'm not sure why we got an error. I'm just going to hit play here just to see what happens. Look like we got an error somewhere. An error we got, oh, document is not focused. I forgot about this one. So in order, remember how I said you can manipulate like things in a browser, right? In order to prevent, and this goes back to like hackers, in order to prevent a hacker from doing this to someone without like they can like copy and press buttons on your side, in order to prevent that, you have to actually be focused in on the browser. So a hacker can't like do this because like you have to physically copy it. You have to physically be focused in on the browser. This is like a preventative thing that they put into place. So now I'm clicking on the actual browser here, and I'm gonna press generate password again. Because now I'm not putting your password, I'm sorry, I'm gonna press this button. Because now it knows that it's actually me that's trying to copy it, not like a hacker from like another website or whatever. I'll press play. Wait, why is it still doing that? I don't know why it's still doing that. You see, this is focused in. I'm not sure why it's still doing this. Let me actually move this. I think every time I press that play button, it's not focusing in on the browser, and that is why it keeps going back to the catch. So I'm gonna put the debugger inside of this navigator, so that we know that like we're here, like we're definitely here. Let me refresh this. Here, generate password. Okay, so now we got into the dot then. And like I said, the reason we was doing this because we kept pressing this play button, and it kept taking focus out of the browser. But now that we're inside of here, we successfully like wrote this random text to the clipboard. So right now, if I wanted to, I can like paste that somewhere. I can like paste that here. Okay, and just paste it because it's on my clipboard at that point. So in order to tell the user that it was actually copied, we're going to change the inner text of this to copied. See, it changed to copied. It's just literally telling the person that it got copied. And in 2 seconds, we're going to change it back to the random generated password. So 2 seconds later, it goes in here, and it changes it back to this. And that just literally just does that animation. Let me take that out so you can see it. That's all that does. And we're able to just paste that somewhere. And that is the password generator app. I know I went through that. I feel like I try to go through it step by step, but if I did move too fast in this section, like you can let me know if you have any questions, and I can go back and just quickly explain that one section. So, any questions on this? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Since there's no question, I'll stop sharing and I'll see everyone on Tuesday. But let me quickly show you what you're supposed to do by Tuesday. Inside of the drive, right? Inside of assignments, you're gonna see this 3/6/22 folder. Today's date, and I have this let's see, prep for next class. Prep for next class. Let me change this. Prep. Now I'm gonna do this every time we're done like a class. So prep for next class. What I want everyone to do is review all of the past projects if you haven't already like went through them to make sure you understand them. And also I want you to do project 6 and 7. And on Tuesday, the next class, we're going to review project 7. We're not going to review project 6 because 6 is literally almost the exact same thing as the, not the exact same thing, but very similar concepts to the color psychology app. So it's similar. So I'm not going to go over that, but I'm going to go over 7.
Hey, yo, Isaiah.
Mhm.
Hey, put me down for volunteer hours for sharing the screen next week. I'll be ready to ball.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do that. So, so for the speaking of that, for the sharing screen, on Tuesday we're gonna start like pretty much right away. So,
All right, it's cool.
yeah. So yeah, that's how it's gonna work. And then maybe like towards the end again, I'll just speed through or like go through the solution, the exact same format, just so we can get these projects down. So if there's no questions, I'll see everyone on Tuesday.
All right. Do you mind going through my
Oh yes.
what I turned in?
Yes. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
Ain't nothing.
Yeah. If anybody like do the homework, they want me to review it, like this is the perfect like time to do it really. I'm gonna review his password generator solution and just do a few critiques.
Cool.
If I see any. So yeah.
And be as harsh as you can. I gotta learn.
Yeah. Got you. Let me open it up. Yeah, when I was looking through it, like I saw some stuff and I was like, yeah, like some of this stuff like is okay, it works, but like, you know, it can be like it's not as solid. It can be it's a little fragile. But I'm gonna go through it. Yeah, and like I said, you don't have to stay for this if you don't want. Like, you know, this is just review of his version of the password generator. All right, so all right. I'm just going to delete all of these comments just to get all this stuff out of the way. I know you was like, you know, writing this stuff down, and it's good to see that you have these comments in here. I'm gonna just get rid of them just to clear up space. On your end, you can keep it. It's up to you. So let me open this up in the browser also. Copy path. First thing I always do is to make sure it works. Like I don't want to look at the code until I know that it works. So when I was checking to see if it worked, right? it worked like some of the time. Like it wasn't, and it working some of the time means that there was a bug, and I'll show you, right? You don't really see it until you click a few of them, but we can see that each individual one of these work, right? This is me just testing. Click this, that works. Got numbers here, special characters, cool. I'm gonna click both upper and lower, right? And we got both upper and lower. The more we put, so let me see, we got 0 right there. What I had noticed was like sometimes some of the stuff didn't show up in there. Let me see if there's a case.
That's it right there. Yeah.
Hold on.
So the previous one didn't have any special characters.
Okay. Yes. Let me see if I can. No, these got the underscores. So let me see. Do we have number? I don't know if that's an O or is it?
I think that is a 0.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean.
Here,
That doesn't have any numbers.
Numbers, right? So yeah, we got a bug right here.
Mm.
And it's the way you coded it or whatever. But we're gonna go and we're gonna try to figure out where to fix that. Let me close this.
So I know the reason that happened is because literally I'm adding in all of the. So whenever you click a box, I'm adding in all of those characters into a pool, and then I'm basically just randomly choosing one of those characters from the pool. So if I was to do it like you, or if I was to throw a check in there that says, you know, it has to contain at least one of those characters, and if it doesn't, then to make sure that one of those characters get entered, then I could get around that.
Right. Yeah, that would work if you did that. You can do a check with that. Whenever you check that stuff, it gets into something I never taught before, but it's called regular expressions, regex. People hate these things. Like if you ask a developer to write a regular expression, like they're like, yeah, I don't want to write that. Like it's like really hard to remember things. Like this tells us, okay, does something contain the letters from A to Z, lowercase? This is A to Z capital. Like there's different like symbols you can put in here to check to see if a string matches what you wanted to match. Like if we was to check emails, we would say, okay, does it contain like an @ symbol? Does it contain like a dot for like a .com or something like that? This is how they check that stuff. But yeah, you would have to use a regular expression. That's what that's called. But let's go through your actual code. Right? I'm just gonna collapse all of these and just go through it. So first thing I noticed that like you didn't call anything, like you didn't call nothing. So off the bat, like I knew that you wrote these in. Like these wasn't previously written in, and like you had said it, like when we were in class, like you literally wrote those in there. Go to it.
And I took out the space by accident too.
Yeah, the space, right? I was gonna point that out too.
Yeah.
The space, but yeah, it's here, but for some reason it's not showing up.
Oh no! I took out this. You had the character space,
right?
Because it's not gonna read that space. It only reads the character space.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Right. Yeah. So yeah, you literally put those in there, and honestly, like this is okay. I feel like it's better to do it through the JavaScript, and the reason I'm saying that is because normally this is a concept that we didn't go over yet because we only doing like the front end, like if we was to do the back end also, we would see that this information is going to come from the back end, and then we're going to have to populate it on the front end, making this something called more dynamic. When you say dynamic, you mean like what's meant is like we can change this on the fly from the back end. Depending on what the back end gives us, it's going to show on the front end. So that's why I'm populating this through JavaScript instead, because it's more realistic to do it through JavaScript. We may change this up. These maybe the special characters, maybe you don't want to include all of these, And instead of changing it on the front end, you can change it on the back end somewhere, and then it will just update on the front end because it's coming from the back. So, but either way, for what we're doing right here is fine. But the critique with this is you had to literally write all of these out. Like you wrote the same thing twice, and I had did it with the 2 lowercase, and to avoid writing all of the letters again. You might miss one, or whatever. The way I did it, if one is missed here, if one of these letters is missed here, this letter, that same letter is going to be missed here. These are always going to be identical by making JavaScript do the work for you. And I think that's a good habit to get into, to have JavaScript do it for you, because JavaScript is not going to mess up. We want to avoid human error. So, but yeah, but either way, like, you know, it's still a way to do it. So, next thing we had to, so when we press this generate password button, we know that we run this function. Now I'm gonna go through this, and I see you use this while loop here. Let me see. So you're doing password and length. You're doing check which boxes are checked, and like automatically I can see and even maybe some of my functions on my end, like you don't want it to be as long. Like this is a lot of code. It's like 40 lines of code, and it works. It's fine. But like the more you write a bunch of lines of code, the harder it is to debug when it's time to debug. And to be fair, I see this a lot. Like professionals write this amount of code, like 40 lines of code, maybe even more. Like on a job, I saw like 200 lines of code plus inside of one function, which is ridiculous. It's like really crazy. Like everyone knows that you're not supposed to do it, but people do it anyway because they just don't. I don't know, they're late. I mean, developers are lazy. And that's what it comes down to. But it's better to keep this under 20 lines. Like I would get it under 10 lines, and if you can't get it under 10 lines, I would get it under 20. And that's just like a clean way to write the code. So, but yeah, let me step through this. So we have all these get element by IDs here, and we could have, like we was doing it, we could have just used this here, this function to do the exact same thing. Instead of writing this over and over again, this whole thing, we just minimize that to just get by ID, and that does the exact same thing. So I would change that to just use this. It's a lot smaller. As you can see, it's less code. Less code is better. So but I'm gonna put that back.
Best code is the best code.
Right, yeah. So we have access to all of these. So this is good. And then you did this trick here where you're doing store check box booleans. So you're doing, okay, you're checking if it's checked. That's cool. You doing it like this is fine. I had put it inside of a variable before I checked this, but either way, it's fine. So you're okay if it's checked. You're setting the inner text. I mean, you're getting the inner text of the HTML element, all of these things. And that's cool. The only thing to worry about there is if some of this is changed, if a hacker come through and change these letters. But either way, I mean, no matter which way I do it, like that's still a potential like thing. But in the way you did it is fine. You got access to all of the letters instead of rewriting it over again. And that's the thing I like about this. You're using what's already there. So if one of these is missing, like you're never going to include like a capital N because you're literally getting the values that you're displaying to the user. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing about this. So if it's checked, what you're doing is store check booleans. You're changing the first index to the letter. It looks like
the variables.
I mean the the
actual letters.
Right. This is that pool of characters, right? The one it's building that up basically. And you're doing the same thing over and over, which is cool. And maybe I can do a better job at this too in my code. but it looks like you're doing the exact same thing over and over again. This is literally the exact same thing.
Yep.
We could have separated it out into another function. We could have did something like add to pool of characters or whatever of chars.
That's a pool of Charmanders.
Yeah. Right. You do this, you can do you can say element here. So element is checked. So, okay. And then you'll do like text. You change this to be more general. Text here. Text. And then you'll pass in this. You pass that in. So then you'll do this, where you'll pass in the element. You pass this in. Hold on. The element came from here. So you pass this in, and then you'll pass in this. This does the exact same thing. You can get rid of this. Get rid of this. And just copy this down. This. Bam. Same thing. I'm gonna test it to see if it works too, to make sure I didn't mess something up. And this. Just made that so much smaller, so much better. Oh, actually, you got to pass in the index also. This was 0. This one was 1. This one was 2, and then 3. So we'll just say index here. Then you just get. Was it this one is always 0, right?
Yeah, it's 0. Yeah, because that's off or not.
Right. Yeah, 0 is false either way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Let me see if that still works. Yeah. Yep. They don't have numbers. There's no numbers. Yeah, I'm messing up. Let me reverse this. I'm gonna keep this function, but I'm gonna reverse it. I don't want to like mess anything up. I don't know what's going on, to be honest. But I don't want to say.
It's cool. You can do your thing, because I'm I got mine. So
yeah, I'm gonna put this back, and yeah, but I'm gonna keep this up here just so we can see it. But there's something that I messed up. But either way, that's the idea. So we did that. Okay, cool. Let's see. One moment. So let me see. So now you're doing this filter where you're filtering out to make sure that you don't include any zeros inside of the checkbox. And that's cool. I like that you're using this filter. That's good. Semicolon. Character choices. You're joining everything. So I like that you're using that method on the arrays to make that into a bunch of like into a string basically. And you're returning the string and plus the length of the string. Okay, let's see what you're going to do with that. Where'd you call that? So that's here. You got the string plus the length of the string. Okay, you did 0 index and 1. That's cool. Characters, number of characters, all good. I like that you're naming this like correctly. You know, it's very descriptive. Now you're doing that while loop and making sure that the password length is greater than 0. It looks like. See, while password length is less than 0, you're going to keep adding letters, random
less
characters.
than 10.
Right, and that's when you use this here and this characters. Okay, cool. I like that. See, if password length equals 10, do this. Else, do this. Does this ever? I don't think this ever runs. Do it. The else, because we don't.
Yeah. Oh, that's if you never check a box. So if you don't check any of the boxes, then that pool is going to actually equal 0. It's not going to equal 10. And then it's going to say, please check a box.
Right.
So that's my check on if they don't check anything, but they try to run it.
Right. Okay, cool. That's cool. Yeah, what I would do and this is fine here, but what I would do is before we start like running too much JavaScript, maybe check that before we even like do the rest of this. Like check here, is anything checked? And then we want to run through any of this stuff. I mean, it's more efficient. I mean, it's not really noticeable how efficient it is, but I feel like the placement of this would be better up here. Maybe a different implementation of it to check to see if any of them is actually checked first. But yeah, that's just my opinion on it. But yeah, either way works. So you have that generate password. That's cool. And like you have pointed out, the reason is because you're literally choosing a random character from that pool of that string or whatever. So your solution will work also, where you check, you know, to see if it's there or not. So copy password. Okay, cool. We have these. Yeah, you got the password button. Cool. Inner text, which was that random text. You're doing if password length is greater than 0. So, okay, and this is the case where they don't check, where nothing is there, basically, essentially. Okay, cool. Yeah, you got the clipboard, and then you're writing this. Okay, so one thing here, and this is literally not ever going to happen, but it's better to do it this way. So when you press that clipboard, right? If I was to now, I'm about to check actually to see. Actually, there's no way I can check. Basically, whenever you write to the clipboard, we don't really know how long it's going to take to copy to the clipboard. Now, obviously, it's almost always like 99.99% of the time, it's going to be copied right away. But what you're doing is you're not waiting for it to be copied. You're directly saying, okay, the password was copied. Like by the time it got here, the password was not copied. And let me actually put a debugger here, right? And I'm gonna test this out to see. Let's check. Refresh. Click that. Now we're here. Let me see if I try to paste that. Let's see, what was that text? The text was AHFT. So nothing is pasted here. It's not even in the clipboard yet because we technically didn't copy it yet because we don't know how long it's going to take to copy. So I will always use the dot then. But like I said, in practice, it's always going to copy over. Like if I do the paste now, we can see as pasting. But I mean, a benefit to using the dot then is if you have a dot catch. If there's an error, if there's an error here, we don't know that. We don't even know if it was an error because we didn't check for it. So I will always use the dot then, and then do this to say, okay, we know for sure once we get here that it was copied over correctly. And if there was an error, now that error can be anything. Like we don't know what can happen to their computer. If there was an error, we're going to console log that error. We're going to handle it properly. So always use dot then in the dot catch when you work with promises, which was what this is. So
yeah, I didn't fully understand the promise because I'm like in the case of a clipboard, like you said, 99.9% of the time it's always going to copy. So I couldn't really think of why I would need it. So I just like, yeah, do it in the GA.
Yeah. Well, so literally the only reason to do it is for this error, to be honest. Like that's the reason to do it. That and so after we copied it, we did this copy password, right? But I don't think that we saw a case where I feel like this example you can go either way, but with other type of promises, you don't ever want to do it the way you just did it, because a promise that we didn't talk about yet. Now we're going to talk about that in one of the future projects. But a promise that we ain't talk about is like getting data from the back end. when you get data from the
Mhm.
back end, we're using promises. And we literally don't know when that's going to come back. Like we don't know. The back end could be down, like you know, our website is down, like the back end is down. We don't know how long it's going to take to get there. And after that data comes back from the back end, like let's say you wanted to get someone's name or something like that from the back end. Like after that comes back, you display it. But you can't display it until you get it back. Because when you get it back, it's going to pass you like some data here. It's going like you're gonna call the back end. You're gonna say, okay, I want something from the back end. And once we get to this dot, then the stuff that you wanted is going to be inside of this parameter here. And you can name this whatever you want, just a variable. But I normally name it data. So if I want to ask for somebody's name, the name is going to be stored in here, this dot then. So we literally can't do it the way you did it because we have to literally wait for the data to come back from the back end. So
Okay.
that's
it. Yeah. Because I'd be telling them that the data's there, but it won't be there per se.
Right. Exactly.
If I did it the way I did it.
Right.
That makes sense.
So yeah, everything else is good. I mean, I like how you tie together some of this stuff and you're using like the tools that we learned, like in combination. Like that's the point, to learn to use all of these things together to do a task. So yeah. That took 50 minutes over. Didn't even notice. I hope there was a lot of like value here. But yeah, any questions before I like call it a day? All right. So I'll see everyone on Tuesday, and I'll post a recording and let y'all know when it's posted. All right.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Oh, I probably won't be able to show up Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll be attending a funeral. So.
Oh yeah. Sorry for your loss, and yeah, it's fine. Like, so it'll be recorded. So yeah.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then everybody, y'all be easy.
All right. See you everyone.